Hey guys, welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. Brian, Mr. Smith, Kitchen, as always. It's not I say this in every video, but I feel it's an important thing to introduce yourself, especially since we have so many new people that have joined our neighborhood, which is awesome. And if you are new to my channel, and if this is your first video or second or third, I'm glad you stopped by, and I really hope you get something out of my videos. As you may know, because I say it in almost every video, our channel is basically all food. And along the way, you get to meet my family, occasionally talk about some other stuff, but basically it's all about food, every aspect of food, whether it be preserving it, growing it, building stuff for a kitchen to store things, baking and cooking. So, that being said, if you're returning to my channel, thank you. I appreciate that more than you know. That means I'm doing something right. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It's down here, I believe. On my left, it may be my right, your left, your right. But anyhow, it's the square box to subscribe. Right next to it's the notification bell, and that lets you know my videos come out. I try to get them out every Wednesday, Thursday. But I do work a full-time job on top of having a family of 6, 4 of them still living here in the house. And, 4 of us still living in the house, I'd be one of them. And sometimes it doesn't always work, but most of the time it does. I've been pretty good about getting at least 2 videos out a week. And, thumbs up, thumbs down. Awesome if you'd hit one of those. They let me know a couple things. Am I doing well? Am I doing horrible? Or are you just a jerk who's out to troll me? Which is okay too. I mean, whatever. And comments, love comments. I respond to all of them at the moment, and and that'll continue for as long as I, have less than a bazillion subscribers and a bazillion comments. And even then, I'll try to get to most of them. But all I ask with comments is you be respectful. Don't be a jerk. It's okay to disagree. Just do it in a respectful manner. Think before you type. Today, I thought we would bake some brownies, but these aren't just any brownies. It's actually kind of a funny story brownie of working with what you got. So I started out this recipe. It's there's actually the recipe is on my Facebook group, which if you're on Facebook, look us up. It's Mr. Smith's Kitchen, and it's a Milky Way cheesecake brownie. Well, herein lies the neat part. Nobody in the Newark area, which is where I live here in Ohio, and the couple stores that I'm near my job, which I work 40 miles away, had Milky Way caramel minis, which are essentially just chocolate and caramel. They don't have the nougat in them that a normal Milky Way does. So I thought, dilemma. I can't really make a Milky Way cheesecake brownie, but I found Rollos. And I personally love Rollos. And what are Rollos? Rollos are caramel wrapped in a lovely chocolate that are quite tasty and delicious and just as unhealthy for you. So I am going to make a Rollo cheesecake brownie today, which I think will be fun. Hopefully it goes good. Like I said, I had to deviate from the recipe a little bit, and this is the first time I've ever made them, so I don't even know if the recipe is good, although it sounds good, it looks good, and all that stuff. Alright, that being said, we're going to make some Rollo cheesecake brownies today, and I'm going to get you down here to the counter where we can start going over what we'll need. I'll give you all the measurements and cups or grams or teaspoons, tablespoons, but I'll also give you everything in grams, and that way you can play no matter what you use. I do always recommend, though, using a scale. So let me get you down here and we'll see what we got going on. We're down here to the counter. So some things you'll need, like I said, scale. Scale is always, in my mind, when it comes to baking. Even if you're doing just some basic baking, it's important. It provides consistency all the way around. Your dish, no matter how many times you make it, will come out the way it's supposed to be, and depending on what we're making, a scale could be vital. There's a lot of, especially French style baking, you need a scale. You need that accuracy that goes with it. But the other thing, most important thing we'll need is a recipe. Got it here, as always in the notebook, handwritten out. If we like it, we keep it as is. If we don't like it, we can modify it to make it what we think would be cool. or we can just tear it out and throw it away. It's the beauty of a notebook. But that being said, we're going to start with the dry ingredients. Excuse me. And for our dry ingredients, I'm going to go ahead and whisk them through, use a sifter to run them through because my stuff's a little clumpy for whatever reason. So the first thing we're going to need with our dry ingredients is going to be some flour. And we've got 1 cup of just regular old all-purpose flour, 120 grams. And we'll put that in there. And of course we'll need a bowl to do this with, right? And then the next thing we're going to need to put in that flour is some baking soda and some salt. I've got them both in this little thing here. They're both white, so it's hard to see, but salt, baking soda. And you need a half a teaspoon, 2 grams of baking soda, a 1/4 teaspoon, 1 gram of salt. Now you can use table salt. That rocks. I use kosher salt. Kosher salt is really good for baking and cooking with. It helps enhance and bring out flavors. Now, that being said, with your kosher salt, it usually comes in coarse grains. Try to break it up a little bit. I have found with the years now I've been baking that if I don't break up my coarse salt, smash it a little, and you can use the back of a spoon to crush it with, inevitably somebody's going to taste some salt. And you don't want that. You want it to be evenly dispersed, and you want it to be melted and incorporated. All right, and the last thing that's going to go into our dry ingredients is 3/4 of a cup of cocoa powder. It's 75 grams, and I am using Dutch processed cocoa powder. All right, you can use whatever powder you like. I will say Dutch processed is a little more expensive than say just regular 100% cocoa powder, but here's the thing with the Dutch process. It has such a better flavor to it, and I don't know what their process is for making a Dutch process, but I think it has a better chocolate flavor to it, or cocoa flavor, I guess, because yeah, chocolate. And then we're just going to run this through the sifter real quick, and then we can move on to the wet ingredients. All right, we got our dry ingredients done. It's in there now. Even though we sifted it, I'm still going to take a whisk and whisk this together real quick, because I can see I still got some clumps of the flour in there. So boom, done, really quick, easy. And then we'll just set this off to the side. I know I didn't mention it, but you do want, the very first thing you want to do is turn your oven on. We're going to have it on 350 degrees. Then you can put your dry ingredients together. There goes my oven. Get that shut off there. Now, for our wet ingredients, we're just making the brownie portion of this right this second. And then it's layered, right? So it's got brownies on the bottom, cream cheese in the middle, and in this case, it's got some Rollos crushed up on that. And then we're going to put some brownies on top, brownie mix on top, and then swirl it. It'll be awesome. All right, so for the wet ingredients. First thing we're going to need to do is plug in our mixer. I try not to plug anything in until the very last minute. That's just because I've got little hands around here with Abby, and I don't want her coming by turning this on, because it's happened, and either making a colossal mess or hurting herself or hurting one of us. So the first thing we're going to need is 1 cup of melted butter. That's 2 sticks of melted butter. That's 226 grams of butter melted. I just put it in the microwave 30 seconds at a time. And yeah, you don't want it blazing hot when you put it in here, so go ahead and get it melted. Let it sit on the counter a little bit and cool off. And to this, we're going to add 2 cups, 400 grams of just regular old all-purpose sugar. And I've got a couple big clumps there. That's all right. They'll break up. Now, I mean, this is just regular white granulated sugar, but I do use 100% pure cane sugar. I don't use beet sugar, not for baking. I think, even though beet sugar, once again, it's a little less expensive, and it's usually what you can buy at the grocery store, I opt for the cane sugar. I think it's got a better flavor. It's got a finer texture to it. And I just think it has a better taste all the way around. But we're going to put our sugar in there, our 2 cups, 400 grams of sugar in there. And we're going to give this a good mix with the stand mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can use a hand mixer. It's not a big deal. But we're just going to get this all incorporated. Okay, we got it done incorporated. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of vanilla. And I use real vanilla. I don't use imitation vanilla. And I use a baking vanilla, not just a... There's so many different types of vanilla. You've got your imitation vanilla, which, I mean, if that's all you can get, can afford, whatever, it's fine. I just think pure vanilla has a better flavor, and baker's vanilla stands up better in the heat. It doesn't, a lot of times when vanilla gets hot, it has a tendency to lose its flavor. So this baker's vanilla is designed to retain its flavor as it cooks, so you get that little bit of balance of vanilla. So our 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of vanilla is going to go in there. And then we're going to add 4 large eggs at room temperature. All right. And those are about 50 grams a piece, 200 grams total. And we're going to start this up. We're only going to put 1 egg in at a time until it completely disappears or breaks up. So we'll go ahead and get that started and put our eggs in. Okay, we got our eggs, our 4 eggs in there. They are all mixed up, no longer looking like eggs. We just got a nice creamy batter in there. And it's not even a complete batter yet, it's more like a soup. But to that, we're going to go ahead and add our dry mix. Alright, so we'll get our dry mix in there. And unlike baking a cake, we don't have to, put it in a little bit at a time. We don't even want to sit here and mix this very long. We're making the brownies. So in brownies, it's okay to not have it completely smooth and creamy. Even when you buy a brownie mix, it tells you not to get out all the lumps. And so we're just looking to incorporate this, all right? And I've not yet on anything taken my mixer past low. All right, we got our brownie mix mixed. So the one thing we got to do now, our next steps, are going to be scrape off our paddle attachment because we're done with it for the moment. So and like I said earlier, if you don't have a stand mixer, that's fine. You can use a hand mixer. I mean, and I'm sure if you have the arm strength, like you work out a lot and you got really strong arms, you could probably make all of this with a hand whisk. But I don't know if I want to try to cream cheese with a hand mixer. But stand mixers are expensive, they've gone up drastically in price since the recession started, and it gets a little crazy sometimes with it. But what we're going to do now is we're going to give this a good stir around, make sure everything's mixed up. Like always, we'll scrape our bowl. Excuse me. There is that. And then we need to get about a cup's worth of this brownie mix, which we will call this a cup. Why not? It looks to be about a cup. And we're going to put some of this brownie mix in it and set it aside for a minute, because this is what we're going to dollop the top with after we put the other 2 layers in. So there is that, about a cup's worth. Fantastic. Set that off to the side. And then we're going to take a 9x13 pan, right? And I'm following the directions on this one. I don't think I would personally line it with foil, but then that's just me. I guess it would depend. If you're going to take it out of the pan, I could see using foil. But I would just kind of butter the pan, or if it's a non-stick pan like this one, I don't even know if I would butter it, and then go from there, because I can't see why it wouldn't come out. But anyhow, so I line my 9x13 pan with foil, and we're just going to take our batter and get it in the bottom of this pan and smooth her out. That. Give her a quick smoothing here. All right, we got this smoothed out. Quick and easy. See, it's taking no time at all. I did switch over to an offset spatula though. Kind of helps smooth it out. If you don't have one, that's fine. You can just use your rubber spatula or whatever it is you have available. A knife, a back of a spoon, whatever it takes. And there is that. Now, I'm going to set this off to the side. Get cleaned up a little bit, and we'll make the cream cheese that goes on top of this. All right, I'll be back in 1 second. Okay, got everything cleaned up, refreshed, reset, and all in all washed. Now we're going to move on to the cheesecake filling. So, first thing you will need, other than your standard hand mixer, is 16 ounces, 2 blocks of cream cheese. Throw that in there. And to that, we're going to add 2/3 of a cup, or 133 grams, of just regular white granulated sugar, just like the sugar we used before. And we're going to give this a good mix. Now, we're not going to mix this on high. We're not going to go much past medium, which is 4 if you have a stand mixer, or a KitchenAid stand mixer. And we're going to let this run for about 2-3 minutes. That way we can get everything nice and cream. You know, we want to get this good and creamy and get it well incorporated. So I'm going to go ahead and get this run, and then we'll move on to the next set of ingredients. Okay, so been about 2.5-3 minutes-ish, and we got our mix. Like I said, you're looking to get it cream, get that sugar incorporated in with the cream cheese. So, and in that, while you're mixing it, I know I usually forget to mention it before I start mixing, but you want to stop every minute or so, you know, or in between as often as you can, or you feel you want to, and scrape down your bowl. You know, your hand mixers, stand mixers, all of them have dead spots in them where it may not get incorporated. And most stand mixers, it's dead in the center. You know, for whatever reason, this point where this point hits doesn't always like to seem to get right below it. Now, what you're looking for is you don't want any big lumps or clumps of cream cheese in your batter. So you're looking for, you know, to make sure it's smooth and doesn't have any lumps or, you know, big chunks. I mean, if you got some little ones in there, I know when making cheesecakes, if you have like really small ones in there, they'll melt as you go, but bigger ones will not. All right, so we got our bowl scraped down. I've got another teaspoon, 4 grams of vanilla. And we're going to add that. And I've got 2 more eggs, 100 grams. They're large eggs. Now, I'm pretty sure I didn't mention this a minute ago, but all your dairy products, your cream cheese, your eggs, if you're not melting your butter, pre-melting your butter, all of that, you'll want it room temperature. So get it out about an hour beforehand to a half hour beforehand. And that way you know it's at room temperature. All right, so we're just going to drop that down. I'm going to put 1 egg in at a time and mix them until I can't see the egg anymore. We got our eggs, both eggs blended in. And like I said, no higher than medium on your mixer or your hand mixer, or your blender, or whatever you got. We're going to go ahead and get our paddle out of there. We are done with the cream cheese part, or the cheesecake part. It's that easy. Cheesecakes are actually really easy, I think. What I think intimidates most people, at least it did me in the beginning, was like the whole actual baking process. The water baths, making sure it's in foil, and how you test a cheesecake to make sure it's done, and things like that. Although, me and Chris have learned that with cheesecakes, there's several ways to tell if they're done. You can always do the jiggle test, right? Like you shake it a little bit and it should be firm on the edges, set on the edges, still a little jiggly in the center. It should look a little wet or moist. Sometimes that doesn't always play out though, or your oven may not quite bake as well or things like that. And so you'll look for an alternative, which is temperature. And if I remember correctly off the top of my head, the temperature for a cheesecake to be considered done is 185 degrees before you pull it out of the oven. So, got that done. Get this off of here. Give this one more good scrape and mix, just so that way we know we got everything together. And we do. We are good. So now we'll bring our 9x13 pan back over with our lovely brownie mix in it, right? Let me get this out of the way. It is taking up too much space. If you are new to my channel, you've pretty much seen my entire kitchen. There's another like 18-inch countertop that you're currently sitting on behind you is the door. So not a big kitchen by any stretch of the imagination. So we'll take this, take our cheesecake mix here, and we're just going to pour it on the top. And in my opinion, we could probably just stop right here and be okay with it. Although we're almost done. I mean, this does not take long at all to make. I find that, like when I do videos, it takes me twice as long to make something as if I'm just sitting here with the, laptop on, listening to a movie playing in the background or whatever, or I'm listening to music. It takes about half as long. So, get that. We're gonna spread out this cream cheese here on top, just like such. All right, got it spread out, looking good. Yeah, we'll just use the old finger this time. Scrape this off with. And there is nothing wrong with using your finger, but as long as they're clean. Yeah, you don't want to be like out working on a car and then coming in and baking a cake and, not washing your hands first. We got that done. Now the next ingredient, which will be the last actual ingredient, will be the Rollos. Now here's the part that if you can find the Milky Way caramel minis, you would do this instead. But what I have in here is about 30 Rollos, and I've just chopped them up, just rough chopped them up. And we're going to take them, and we're just going to sprinkle them over the top, get them as even as possible. All right, we got our Rollos on there, and like I just said, I mean, this would be where you would use the Milky Way caramels if you could find those. The Milky Way caramel minis, if you can find those. Get that, just like such. Find my towel so I can dry my hands off. And then we're going to, the last thing we have to do before we put it in the oven is grab a spoon. We got 2 steps left. We're going to grab a spoon and we're going to dollop on the batter right here. Just in little spots. Now that we got those dollops on there, we're just going to take our stirring stick like such. You could also use a knife. I mean, whatever works. I just happen to have a skewer sitting out, so that why not use it? And we're just going to swirl this together. Okay, we got it all swirled together here, looking cool. I'll show you here real quick. There we are, swirled and looking beautiful. So, what do we do next? Well, we got our oven preheated to 350 degrees. And here's where things could get a little tricky. The recipe calls for 35 minutes in the oven. I am going to, about 17 minutes, I'm going to take my pan and I'm going to turn it 180 degrees. So I'm going to reach in there with oven mitts and I'm going to take my pan and I'm going to turn it 180 degrees, right? That way it ensures even baking. The recipe does not give how to tell if they're done. So I'm going to kind of rely on what I know. I'll give it kind of a quick toothpick test, but I'm also going to look at it visually. You know, does it look done? Is it set? Is it firm? But I don't want it to be dry. That's the key to it. Because there is some wait time after it's out of the oven, and I'm going to assume that's for the cheesecake part of it. But I'm going to start at 35 minutes and take it from there. So when I come back, we'll take a look at it, and I'll tell you what all I did to make sure it was done. All right? I'll see you here in just 1 second. All right, so we let her bake 35 minutes, and I pulled it out. And then let's take a look at it real quick. Right there. Right here. Won't we do this so you can get a good look at it? We'll bring you over here to it. Maybe. If I can get this right. Alright, so things I looked for. I stuck my thermometer in there. I have a thermometer. Every good kitchen should have a thermometer. And we read 190 degrees. Now I know from experience, cheesecake should be about 185. So we're good there. And if you can look at the brownie on here, the brownie is done. Now, I did do a, doesn't it look gorgeous though? It's so pretty. I did do a toothpick test on it also. Here was the problem I ran into with the toothpick test. Well, it wasn't so much a problem, but it was something different. You know, because we don't really have problems. There's always a solution to everything, so we just got to find the way to do it, right? Because we altered it. It wasn't a complete recipe as far as which we should look for it being done with, but the Rollos, and I'm sure if you use the Milky Ways or whatever chocolate cookie candy you like, and this is a conclusion, you could probably do this with about anything, like Twix, Snickers, Milky Ways, Three Musketeers, all that good stuff. But the chocolate from the Rollos in and of itself, when I put the toothpick in there and I pulled it out, the only thing that was on that toothpick was the chocolate from the Rollos, which I kind of expected. Which leads me to now say we're going to let this cool completely. It's going to take a couple hours. And that's probably partially why we want it to cool completely, is because of the chocolate and the Rollos to settle back to being chocolate again. Now, that being said, hold on for me 1 second. I got somebody at the door. Okay, sorry about that. So like I said, I'm going to let this cool for a couple hours. And then when I come back, we'll give it a shot and see how it tastes. All right, see you here in just a moment. All right, guys, so we let her cool. And after we got it out, down to room temperature. Now, it was still a little soft, the cream cheese was, once it got down to room temperature. So I went ahead and I stuck it in the fridge for 2 hours. Or right around 2 hours. And that firmed it up real nice. So, unbeknownst to me, my phone wasn't on and recording. Well, it wasn't recording, it was on. And I thought you guys see me do this once, but you didn't. So it's already out of the pan. And all I did to get it out of the pan was lift the foil ends up and set it down on the platter. Now, I am going to save the 9x13 because I'm about to cut the rest of this up and put it back in the pan. The pan has a lid. So these brownie cheesecake Rollo cheesecake brownies, they are quite good, but I want you guys to see it, and I'm still going to eat another piece because it was absolutely amazing on the first go-around. Really wish I wouldn't have screwed that up because these are quite the bomb. But let's take a look at one. The Rollos in these, I'm sure the Milky Way caramel minis would have been great too. But the Rollos inside this, it just is a whole next level. And the brownie recipe for this is really good. Yeah, and this wasn't hard to make. It's just a handful of ingredients. And it was really forgiving on everything. It is amazingly good. Even after my first one, this being my second. The cream cheese is really smooth. You know, the Rollos in this are just really good. the caramel where it's been heated, it's changed a little. And the brownie, that brownie recipe is really, really good. I don't think it's as good as Chris's, but it's really, really good. So, that being said, baked for 35 minutes, sat to room temperature about 2 hours, and then in the fridge for a couple hours. Definitely worth it. I would definitely serve these cold. Like I said, you'll want to keep these in the fridge with the cheesecake. You don't want to leave that sitting out on the counter for more than, your dinner party. Try this. Let me know what you think. I think this was really good. Definitely something I'd make again, for tailgating, or just a small gathering in general. This would be a good dessert. It's cheesecake. Can't go wrong with that. And everybody loves brownies. And the Rollos add a nice kick to it. But I think you could use just about every third candy out there, chocolate type candy out there, in this. So anyhow, give this a try. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you liked it. Let me know if you didn't. Either way, it would be awesome to hear from you. But I think you will like this. I know you will. So next week, I have no idea what we're doing yet. I never do until next week. But as far as I know, we're doing dinner on Wednesdays or Wednesday, and we'll do dessert on Thursday. And yeah, I think that's it. I love you. I love you very much. Tell somebody else you love them and you love them very much. Make this. This Rollo cheesecake brownie it tastes next level. Like you just put a ton of work into it and it's no work at all. And if I can do it, you can do it. Tell somebody else you love them and you love them very much. It'll make their day a whole lot better, especially if you make them and make some of these brownies and bring them some. They're going to know, they're going to taste that love with everybody. So, till next week, I'll talk to you later. Love you. Bye.